Prologue. The calm before the dark, the Ohio sun bled gold across the rolling hills, painting the Jacks' homestead in a fleeting warmth. 100 acres stretched before the weathered farmhouse, fields of corn and soybeans swaying in the late summer breeze, orchards heavy with apples, and a glittering stream carving to the land like a lifeline. Windmills spun lazily, their blades catching the light, while solar panels drank in the last rays. Beyond the fields, dense woods teemed with deer and trout, a bounty earned through decades of stewardship. Beneath it all, 40 feet underground, a bunker hummed with secrets. Crates of supplies, racks of rifles, and the stubborn hope of a family that refused to break. Jimmy Jack stood on the porch, calloused hands gripping the railing. At 30, he carried the lean strength of a man raised on hard work and harder lessons. His eyes, sharp as a hunting knife at his hip, scanned the horizon. Something felt off, a prickle at the base of his skull, like the air before a storm. He'd learned to trust that instinct, drilled into him by the old man now shuffling toward him. "Sky's too quiet," Grandpa Jax muttered, his voice gravelly from years of barking orders and swallowing war's ghosts. At 75, he was a wiry figure, his face etched like the tunnels he crawled through in Vietnam. His hands, scarred and steady, clutched a worn journal, decades of prepper plans scribbled in fading ink. No planes, no hum from the power lines. "You feel it, boy." Jimmy nodded, glancing at the windmill's battery gauge. It flickered unsteady. "Maybe it's nothing," he said, but the words tasted like a lie. Inside the farmhouse, Jenny Jax knelt by a row of potted herbs, her fingers brushing basil leaves as she murmured their uses: fever, wounds, calm. At 28, she was the heart of the homestead, her botanist mind as vital as any rifle. Her auburn hair caught the light streaming through the window, but her brow furrowed as she noticed the radio's static hiss. She turned the dial, chasing a signal, finding only silence. "Jimmy?" she called, stepping onto the porch. Her gaze met his, then flicked to Grandpa. "The radio's dead." Grandma Jax appeared in the doorway, drying her hands on an apron. 73, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much. She'd once stitched up soldiers in a war zone and fallen for the broken tunnel rat she'd saved. Now, her nurse's instincts flared. "Check the bunker," she said, her voice calm but unyielding. "If it's happening, we're ready." The family stood together, for souls bound by love and grit. Their home stood a fortress against a world they'd long feared would crumble. Since the 1980s, Grandpa and Grandma had prepped for this, stockpiling seeds, forging alliances with the land, teaching Jimmy and Jenny to hunt, fish, and fight. They built a life that could outlast empires, a legacy carved into Ohio soil. But no plan could brace them for the moment the sky fell silent. At 6:47 p.m. on August 12th, 2025, a pulse ripped through the atmosphere. Invisible, merciless, it fried circuits and dreams alike. Cars stalled on highways. Lights flickered out in Chillicothe. Phones went dark, and with them, the fragile web of civilization unraveled. In the distance, a plume of smoke rose from the city, a funeral pyre for the world they'd known. Jimmy's hand tightened on his knife. Jenny reached for his arm, her touch grounding them both. Grandpa's journal fell open to a page marked Day 1. Grandma's eyes locked on the horizon, where shadows already moved, hungry, desperate, and closing in. The Jax family had prepared for 30 years. Now, the real fight began. Chapter 1. The sky fell silent. Jimmy Jax's boots crunched on the gravel path as he sprinted toward the windmill, the dying light of August 12th, 2025, casting long shadows across the homestead. The air felt wrong, too still, too heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Minutes ago, the EMP had hit, a silent assassin that killed every circuit in its path. The windmill's battery gauge, usually a steady green, flickered red, spitting sparks. His gut churned. This wasn't a glitch. This was it. "Jimmy!" Jenny's voice cut through the dusk, sharp with urgency. She stood on the farmhouse porch, her auburn hair loose, clutching the dead radio. "It's not just the radio. The generator's out. Everything's gone." He didn't answer, his focus locked on the windmill. The blade still turned, driven by the breeze, But the system was fried. 30 years of prepping, and the first test was already here. He climbed the metal ladder, his hunting knife bouncing against his thigh. At the top, he pried open the control box. Charred wire stared back, the stench of burnt plastic stinging his nose. "Damn it," he muttered. "No fixing this tonight." Grandpa Jax's voice boomed from below. "Get down here, boy. We got bigger problems than that windmill." The old man stood by the barn, his wiry frame taut, a .308 rifle slung over his shoulder. His journal, that dog-eared Bible of survival, was tucked into his belt. At 75, he moved like a man half his age, his Vietnam-honed instincts kicking in. Jimmy slid down the ladder, landing hard. "What's the play, Grandpa?" Grandpa's eyes flicked to the horizon. Where Chillicothe's skyline smoldered, a faint orange glow marking the city's collapse. "Bunker first. Secure the supplies. Then we scout. Folks will be desperate soon. Looters, gangs, worse. We don't wait for him to come to us." Jenny jogged over, her botanist satchel slung across her chest. "The solar panels are dead, too. Hydropower's our only juice now, but the stream's low. We need to prioritize water and food." Jimmy nodded, his mind racing. The homestead's 100 acres were a fortress. Fields, orchards, a stream-fed turbine, and a bunker packed with enough supplies for years, but was also a target. He'd grown up on Grandpa's stories of chaos, of societies crumbling when the lights went out. Now those stories were real. Grandma Jax emerged from the farmhouse, her silver hair tied back, a first-aid kit in one hand, and a 9mm pistol in the other. "I've locked the medical supplies in the bunker," she said, her nurse's calm unshaken. "But we need to check the perimeter. If Chillicothe's burning, people will head this way." Jimmy felt the weight of their eyes on him. At 30, he wasn't a kid anymore, but leading the family through this? That was new. Grandpa had always been the one with the plan, the one who'd started prepping in the 80s, turning this Ohio plot into a self-sustaining haven. But the old man was watching him now, waiting to see if he'd step up. "All right," Jimmy said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Grandma, you and Jenny get the bunker ready. Food, water, weapons. Grandpa, you're with me. We'll check the fences and set traps. 2 hours, then we regroup." Grandpa gave a curt nod, a flicker of pride in his eyes. Jenny hesitated, her hand brushing Jimmy's arm. "Be careful," she whispered, her green eyes searching his. He squeezed her hand, then turned to follow Grandpa toward the woods. The homestead's perimeter was a mile-long loop, reinforced with barbed wire and hidden snares Grandpa had designed from his tunnel rat days. They moved fast, the forest alive with the chirp of crickets and the distant howl of a dog, normal sounds, but they felt like warnings. Jimmy carried a crossbow, silent and deadly, while Grandpa's rifle gleamed under the rising moon. "Keep your eyes sharp," Grandpa said, crouching to inspect the tripwire. "First wave will be locals. Folks, you know, begging for scraps. Don't trust them. Hunger turns friends into snakes." Jimmy swallowed, thinking of the farmers down the road, the ones they'd traded with for years. "We can't just shoot neighbors, Grandpa." The old man snorted. "Ain't about shooting. It's about showing strength. Let them know this land's ours. You hesitate, you die." They worked in silence, resetting traps and checking the fence. The stream gurgled nearby, its hydropower turbine still churning. Thank God for that. But as they neared the eastern boundary, a new sound froze them. Voices, low and frantic, coming from a road. Jimmy dropped to a knee, signaling Grandpa to do the same. Through the trees, he saw 3 figures, 2 men and a woman, stumbling along the dirt path, their flashlight beams jerking wildly. One man carried a shotgun, the other a crowbar. The woman clutched a backpack, her face streaked with ash. "From Chillicothe," Grandpa whispered, his rifle already raised. "Look at 'em, scared but armed. Trouble." Jimmy's heart pounded. Could be refugees, not looters. Grandpa's eyes narrowed. "Refugees don't carry shotguns. We let 'em pass, or we make 'em regret coming closer. Your call, Jimmy." The weight of leadership hit him like a punch. He studied the trio. The man with the shotgun was shouting. His voice slurred, drunk, maybe, or just panicked. The woman kept glancing back, like something was chasing them. Jimmy's mind flashed to Jenny, to the bunker, to everything they'd built. He couldn't risk it. "We scare 'em off," he said finally. "No blood if we don't have to." Grandpa grunted, approving. "Flank him. I'll take the left." They split, moving like ghosts through the underbrush. Jimmy's crossbow was steady in his hands, his breath slow despite the adrenaline. He'd hunted deer, but never a man. The thought made his stomach twist, but he pushed it down. This was about survival. He reached a clearing 20 yards from the trio, close enough to hear their words. "Keep moving, damn it," the shotgun man snapped. "There's a farm up here. Saw it last year. They got food, maybe guns." "They'll shoot us, Carl," the woman hissed. "We should go back." "Back to what?" The crowbar man said. "City's gone. Fires everywhere. We take what we need." Jimmy's jaw tightened. "Looters, then." He glanced at Grandpa, who'd taken position behind a tree, his rifle trained on the shotgun man. The old man gave a slight nod, signaling the plan. Jimmy stepped into the open, crossbow raised. "Stop where you are," he called, his voice cutting through the night. "You're on private land. Turn around, or you won't walk away." The trio froze, their flashlight beams swinging toward him. The shotgun man, Carl, raised his weapon, but his hands shook. "Who the hell are you?" he barked. "Doesn't matter," Jimmy said. "You got 10 seconds to drop your weapons and leave." The woman dropped her backpack. "Hands up. We don't want trouble. We're just—" "Shut up, Liz," Carl snarled, stepping forward. "We ain't leaving empty-handed." A rifle crack split the air, Grandpa's warning shot, kicking up dirt at Carl's feet. The looters flinched, the crowbar man dropping his weapon. All right, he stammered. "We're going." Carl hesitated, his shotgun still raised. Jimmy's finger twitched on the crossbow trigger, his pulse hammering. "Last chance," he said, praying he wouldn't have to fire. For a moment, the world hung on a thread. Then Carl cursed and lowered his gun. "You'll regret this," he spat, backing away. The trio retreated, their flashlight beams fading into the dark. Jimmy exhaled, his hands trembling. Grandpa emerged, slinging his rifle. "Good call, boy, but they'll be back. With friends." They returned to the homestead, the moon now high. Jenny and Grandma waited by the bunker's entrance, a steel hatch hidden beneath a shed. The farmhouse glowed faintly, lit by candles. Hydropower was reserved for essentials now. "Perimeter's clear," Jimmy reported. "But we had company. Looters from Chillicothe. Scare 'em off, but they know we're here." Jenny's face tightened. "How many?" "3, Jimmy said. "Armed," said the city's burning. Grandma nodded, her pistol still in hand. "Expected as much. We'll need watches tonight. 2-hour shifts." "Agreed," Grandpa said, flipping open his journal. "Tomorrow we fortify. Traps, barricades, the works. And we scout Chillicothe. Need to know what we're up against." Jimmy looked at his family. Jenny's quiet strength, Grandma's resolve, Grandpa's fire. The homestead was their sanctuary, built on decades of sweat and foresight. But the world outside was unraveling, and the shadows were closing in. As they descended into the bunker, the distant crack of gunfire echoed from Chillicothe. Jimmy's hand rested on his knife, his mind already racing to the next fight. The Jacks family was ready, but ready for what?